Because in my business, I like to be on the good side of federal judges. Anyway. Well, let me just read this to you. In praise of past district governors, and I pay tribute to all of the governors who are here tonight, Rotary International has more than 1 million members worldwide. It is estimated, though not confirmed, that there are approximately 900,000 PDGs all over the place. Why is this, he asks? Well, the ordinary member of a club, a usual Rotarian, like other individuals in society, dies when his or her time comes. Not so with PDGs, who simply do not die, which accounts for the relatively large percentage of them with respect to the total membership. Now, how are the district governors chosen, you may ask? And a bunch of you wondered what the vote was for Jim. Anyway, that's another speech. The actual selection process was and is mysterious, and no one seems to know for sure where these people come from. The research in this all-important area is continuing, but based on the profile of the 953 past governors in our district, however, now he's off by 943, but he's a federal judge, so there you go. One can assume the following. First, you must be a Rotarian at least 35 years and have perfect attendance during those 35 years. Second, you must have a personally autographed picture of Paul Harris hanging over your mantle. Third, you must have a terrific sense of humor. Fourth, everything in your house and business must have a Rotary logo on it, even your pajamas. Sherry and I have a big Rotary logo in the wheelie in the ceiling above our bed. We sleep in a big California cane with an Alaskan Malamute. That's not another Rotarian, that's a big dog. And a wolf hybrid, a gray wolf. And the wheel lights up every 2 or 3 hours, sings my theme song, sing out a song of Rotary. And the wolf puts her head back, growl. And the dog, the Malamute, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway. Fifth, your spouse must want to follow you to the ends of the earth, even to the district conference. Sixth, you must be able to make the same bad speech 122 times without ever getting it right. 7, you must be able to eat rubber chicken every meal for a year. 8, you must have retired after selling out your business for $20 million or gone bankrupt, one or the other. Now, the job of district governors, he writes, is not all cookies, of course. There is considerable hardship incurred with the job. For example, the average weight gain of district governors during their year, what with constant banqueting and excessive drinking, is roughly 28 pounds. And even more for the spouses. Sociologists and geriatric consultants to Rotary International have concluded that the wives' spouses, this was written when they were wives, have particular trouble because they've got to listen to the same bad speech 122 times and often therefore engage in compensatory eating. I once knew a district governor's wife who gained 5 pounds each week for a year. Now, if she just avoids her husband's speeches, she can keep her weight normal. Then he gets very, very serious. None of this answers the question, however, why past district governors are so venerated and so respected and so loved. Again, I'm not certain, but I think there is something just so lovable about a PDG sitting at his specially reserved table, mumbling the 4-way test as his face slowly lowers into the P's. Kind of gets you right there, doesn't it? Well, I can tell you that there is something to that weight problem. Before I was a district governor, I was very skinny. I was singing all night in Las Vegas, and I never ate, and I was finishing up my year as district governor 30-some-odd years ago down in Silicon Valley. And my wife, who was a dancer in the Dean Martin Revues in Hollywood, and I met her in my show one day, I saw her cross the stage in her costume, and I thought, there goes a girl who ought to be married to a Rotarian. And I took her away from that dull Hollywood life so she could follow me around the world listening to my speeches. Yes. Anyway, she's physically fit. And she saw me coming out of the shower. This was about 3/4 of my year as district governor. And she looked at me, and I'm stripping there wet with a towel around me that wouldn't reach. And she said, well, I can see that you've had every free meal they offered you this year. I could tell by the look on her face we were going to have a conversation I wasn't going to enjoy. We did, and I didn't. She went over to Woolworths, and she bought a little trampoline. Now, this is a true story. People always ask me if this is just made up for a speech. It is not. It's exactly how it happened. She bought a trampoline for $29.95 at Woolworths. Oh, we had Woolworths then. Now, you don't get a big trampoline for $29.95. It's a little one, about a third the size of this round table. And she stuck it up in the corner of our bedroom underneath the rotary wheel in the ceiling. That's another story. And I thought it was a spaceship from Mars, and I said, Sherry, what do you do with that? She says, you jump up and down on it every morning and you'll get fit. I thought, I can't think of anything I'd rather less do. But I thought, what the heck, I love my wife, I'll jump. Because I'm not as dumb as I look, I'll tell you that. And I began jumping up and down on this trampoline every morning, and I hated every minute of it. But on the third day, they got Leave It to Beaver on TV, reruns. And I got so engrossed in the plot on the third day that I came down on the edge of the trampoline instead of in the middle, and I broke my leg. True. And I was so thrilled this happened after only 3 days. And I could get rid of the trampoline. And of course I had to wear a cast, because when you break your leg, you wear a cast. And I had to keep up with my speeches at Rotary clubs, because every governor does. And I got get-well cards from Rotary Club presidents who loved and respected me the way I know you do your governor next year. And I've saved one all these years. It's kind of presidential. It's got the American flag on the cover and the Liberty Bell. I thought it was kind of special. And this personal handwritten message from the president of this club takes the time out of his very busy presidential year to write me a get-well message. Dear Governor Rick, we'd like you to know that the Rotary Club of San Lorenzo, California, by a vote of 17 to 15, hopes you recover. Touching PS on here, we were going to send you flowers, but that lost 5 to 27. So you're the club president next year. You have a big job, because Rotary is big business. You are Rotary's expert next year, the officer in charge of a Rotary Club. You are our specialist, our expert, our commanding officer in membership recruitment, membership orientation, membership assimilation, membership retention, membership extension, vocational service, international service, club service, community service, club bulletins, club meetings, club public relations, club attendance, club finances, club fundraising, club social activities, the club assembly, club programs, the club speech contest, club humanitarian projects, getting your members to the district conference, getting your members to the district assembly, the Rotary Foundation, Paul Harris Fellows, sustaining members, benefactors, major donors, group study exchange, youth exchange, friendship exchange, Interact, Youth Act, Early Act, Rotaract, RILA, Rotary Volunteers, the Rotary Village Corps, Polio Plus, district grants, package grants, pilot programs, peace forums, community grants, global grants, disaster relief, world community service, future vision, preserve planet Earth, AIDS education, hunger programs, avoidable blindness, jobs for the disabled, concern for the aging, literacy, world fellowship activities, ambassadorial scholarships, wheelchairs, substance abuse, not yours. And that's your job as president of the club next year. There's a reason we close these doors. We don't want anybody resigning on the spot. If I could put it in one sentence, it's this way. The job of the competent Rotary Club president is to change his or her club from what it is to what it ought to be. I read a speech given by a former president of the United States, which he delivered at Stanford University. Now, as a California Golden Bear, I don't really read anything that comes out of Stanford. But this speech impressed me, and I want to just quote you a couple sentences from Herbert Hoover. Among the delusions offered us, he said, by fuzzy-minded people, is that imaginary creature, the common man. It is dinned into us that this is the century of the common man. The idea is a cousin of the Soviet proletariat. The uncommon man is to be whittled down to size. It is a negation of individual dignity and a slogan of mediocrity and uniformity. The common man dogma may be of use as a vote-getting apparatus. It supposedly proves the humility of demagogues. But the greatest strides of human progress have come from uncommon men and uncommon women. The humor of it is that when we get sick, we need an uncommon doctor. If we have to go to war, we seek the uncommon general. If we have a child in school, we pray for that uncommon teacher who inspires and motivates our child to its greatest potential. If we're running a business, we seek the uncommon manager, the uncommon salesperson, the uncommon engineer. Indeed, everything that is good in our lives has come to us from people, men and women, who have dared, often in the face of peer ridicule, to reach out and be uncommon. And I want to give you suggestions tonight in my judgment on the why and how Rotary needs uncommon leaders. Never before in all of human history has there been such a demand for Rotary. Our product is service, and we're in the position that most businesses love to be in, because never before in all of history has there been such a demand for our product. A number of years ago, in the May 1960 issue of the Rotarian magazine, a distinguished world Rotarian wrote an article which he called "The Truly Human Man." A winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, a distinguished medical doctor, he had spent a lifetime in Africa helping people who were very poor. He had been in Rotary about 8 years when he wrote this article for the Rotarian magazine. His name, of course, was Albert Schweitzer. I read to you just a couple of sentences in his opening paragraph. "Having occupied myself since my youth with the great problems of civilization and its survival amidst the events which form the great adventure that we share in this world, I knew there would have to be created someday associations of people, aside from political parties, aside from every other kind of distinction, something solely to meet the ideal of a truly human man, who tries to judge as a truly human man, and who tries to act as a truly human man." And the first time I heard of Rotary, it was a great consolation, and I said to myself, now they are beginning to do what is necessary for the future. And I've lived with this great concern for the future of humanity with my friend Albert Einstein, whom I knew for many years. And I know how much he too is waiting for a great movement. And now this movement has come in Rotary, and we shall fight on while remaining profoundly human. The reason I found that article significant is because as I have traveled the globe many times over, I've come to the conclusion that Rotary is a vast private United Nations of the most distinguished, prestigious people on the face of the earth. Dwight Eisenhower put it this way: "Governments seldom solve people's problems. Governments are necessary," he said. "They serve a vital function in society, and we need them. But normally it's private citizens who get the job done best of solving the problems of the human race. And in the business of people solving problems, no organization in the history of the human race has the track record of Rotary International." This is the organization. This is the organization which you are called upon to lead next year. Every corner of the globe in 213 countries and geographical regions, 34,000 clubs, Arabs and Hindus meeting in the Arabs and Muslims meeting in the same clubs on the border of Pakistan and India, and Jews and Arabs meeting in the same clubs throughout the Middle East, Catholics and Protestants meeting in the same clubs at the border of Ulster and Ireland, all over the globe, men and women of every race, every color, every creed, every language, every religion, every politics, every culture, every political ideology, wear the Rotary wheel. Royalty, heads of state, ministers of state, corporate leaders, international leaders, religious leaders, athletic leaders, business leaders, cultural leaders, social leaders of every human endeavor wear the Rotary wheel. And they solve the problems of the human race every second of the day. We make the lame to walk, the blind to see, the deaf to hear. We clothe the naked, we feed the hungry, we heal the sick. We save lives on a scale never before undertaken by a private organization, non-government and non-religious, in the history of the human race. That's Rotary International today. And it's an important job. I believe there are three characteristics that sum up the qualifications for the uncommon Rotary Club president. First, a conviction of what Rotary is and does, what you know about Rotary. Second, a vision of what you see for Rotary's potential, what you really feel about the members of your club. And third, your commitment to the organization, what you feel about what you're going to do next year. There are so many things to know about Rotary, it's hard to begin. I gave you a list of the projects of Rotary, and there are many more. Rotary today is very vast across the globe. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are poured into scholarships, preserve planet Earth, building wells, feeding the hunger, I heard tonight Dean telling me a wonderful project of Interact Kids going to Africa to work in squatter villages. I'm constantly amazed at the amazing things that Rotary is doing across the globe. I was president during the days of 9/11. I was in Rio de Janeiro. That day they were going to honor Rotary. The president of Brazil was there, and they were going to give me some sort of a knighthood. I didn't know they had knights in Brazil, but anyway, I'm one of them. And the United States ambassador to Brazil was there, and 1,000 Rotarians had come from throughout Brazil. But that morning, the tragedy of 9/11 struck New York and the field of Pennsylvania and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. When I got back to the president's office, 1,000 messages were there. President Rick, we're so sorry it took place on American soil. And most importantly, what is Rotary going to do about it? It had never entered my mind that the job of a Rotary Club president, or a district governor, or a director of Rotary International, or the president of Rotary International would have to face the challenges of global terror. But everywhere I went, visiting with heads of state and monarchs across the globe, they asked the same question. Rotary can do something about it. The Chicago Tribune wrote an article 3 weeks after 9/11 called The Rotary Factor. The club known for backslapping lunches becomes the key ally in the war on global terror. And the article went on to say that it's because of the type of person who's in Rotary, the type of organization that Rotary is, its strength, its wealth, its prestige. Rotary began the whole service club movement. In 1905, those four men had spaghetti at Madame Galli's Italian restaurant, crossed the street on a snowy wintry night to Paul Harris's law office, Suite 711 at 127 North Dearborn Street, and there the world's first service club had its first meeting. Kiwanis International began 10 years later. 2 years after the Kiwanians began, the Lions Clubs began. And 2 years after the Lions Clubs began, the Optimist Clubs began. These four great service club movements germinating that night in Chicago when Paul Harris and his three friends, two Protestants, a Catholic and a Jew, had spaghetti and formed Chicago One, the world's first service club. This is the organization of which you've got to have a conviction. If you don't have a conviction that Rotary is important, you cannot succeed as a Rotary Club president. And in my judgment, I can tell you this. Some of you may be here somewhat unwillingly. I never wanted to be a Rotary Club president. I joined a small club. Everybody in the club had been president. One day I missed the meeting and they elected me president. Really, I didn't want to do it. 8 guys were coming to the meeting. 8. And I was about ready to drop. I thought, this is not a successful club. It's a waste of my time. But they elected me president. Half the club, 4, were clients of mine. So I thought, they don't want an incompetent lawyer. I better be a competent Rotary Club president. So I said, okay, we're going to do this. We worked our hearts out. At the end of the year, we had 35 active members. We got the Governor's Trophy as best club in the district. We got the Governor's Trophy as most improved in per capita giving to the Rotary Foundation. And then, when they demoted me by hanging a noose and trying me for treason against Rotary, the governor walked in and with a pardon, he pardoned me and gave me the trophy as best Rotary Club president of the district. And those 35 members and their spouses and the 200 others who were at that demotion that night because they really wanted to see me leave stood up and cheered. They cheered because they were a Rotary Club. They were an organization that was doing things in the community. Everybody likes to be on a winner. And you need to have a conviction in your soul. You need to know what Rotary is all about. You need to learn that this weekend while you're here. Second, what do you see next year for your club? You know, the average Rotarian is above average income than the norm and average, above average education than the norm usually, above average success in business, personal lives. He or she is a successful person, has set goals for their own lives and has achieved them or is achieving them. And yet we bring these highly educated, highly successful, goal-oriented achievers in business or in their personal lives, we bring them to the Rotary Club Tuesdays at noon, and we start talking to them as if they were in the 2nd grade. We set goals that were so low that if they set those goals that low in their business, they'd go bankrupt. And too many Rotary Clubs are bankrupt in the business of Rotary service. They're not doing anything because the goals are set so, oh, we can't get 10 new members this year. Oh, we can't get 20 people to the district conference. Oh, we can't increase to the per capita giving of the Rotary Foundation. You know, we had the Polio Plus campaign started 25 years ago. I was on the original committee. Cliff Dockerman and Keith Vernon and Jack Forrest and Bob Servan. None of us knew anything about raising money. And we sat there in the boardroom in Evanston, Illinois, trying to figure out how we were going to raise $120 million in 1 year, which was 4 times more than had ever been raised in 1 year in the history of Rotary for the Rotary Foundation. But we paid $4.4 million to an organization in New York City that said, if you do what we tell you to do, you will raise the money. So we paid them a lot of money. And we said, now what do we do? And they said, you set a goal for every club in the world. A numerical financial goal. Well, we got a lot of hate mail. A lot of clubs didn't like it. But the success stories are so monumental. It changed the face of Rotary. You all know the story. We had a small club of 40 members, 30 members, 30 members in a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They had an excuse every year when the district governor came by. We can't do this, we can't do that. The coal industry was down, steel industry was down, the place was in recession, and they were right. It was. So for 40 years, these 30 members had given a total of $1,000 a year, 30 of them, to the Rotary Foundation. In 40 years, they'd raised $40,000. And we asked them to raise $100,000. And the same 30 members, who in 40 years had never raised more than $40,000, went out and raised $220,000 in 8 weeks for Polio Plus. What happened? Same 30 losers. Same people in the club. What happened? Same members, but a different club president who caught the vision of what those 30 members could do if they would. I don't know whether he had some polio in his background or what the story was. But the stories are replete over and over again of clubs that changed their whole destiny, became a working service organization by going out with a financial goal. And so, President-elect, I say to you, you do 4 steps if you really want to achieve something next year. First, you set the numerical goal. How many new members net are you going to get? How many new members net are you going to get? Second, you develop a business plan on how you're going to do it. You divide the club into teams. When I was president, we just took a day off. Everybody donated a business day, and we went out and canvassed the business area of our neighborhood so that we could get some people to tell them about Rotary. They had to donate a business day to the work of Rotary, service above self, and it worked. There was a club down in Louisiana that doubled its size from 75 to 150 when I was president. They divided into teams, and they had a couple of receptions, and they invited a speaker to come, and they invited people just to come and learn about Rotary, and every time they had one of those receptions, a lot more people joined the organization. People keep saying that we just keep our secret hidden under a rock, and I was thrilled that Jennifer addressed today the public image, the branding idea, because it's critical. But you develop a business plan. Every business to succeed has to have a plan. I don't know whether you sell bread, you deliver cars, you're an insurance agent, you're a doctor. In my law office, we have a chart back of my desk every day. How many people have we sued last week? How many more can we sue next week? You got to have a business plan to make it go. We have a theme song. We get there at 9 every morning. Concave, convex, we sue either sex. And there's 16 verses after. But you got to have a business plan. So first you got to have the goal. Second, you got to have the business plan. Third, you got to work the plan. It doesn't do any good for the club president to just stand up and say, we got to have some new members next year. Or we got to get 10 people to go to the district conference or the district assembly. You got to work the plan every week and find out how it's working. And fourth, you got to recognize those who do the plan well. So you set the goal, you develop the plan, you work the plan, and you recognize. We paid the financial organization a lot of money to teach us this. And I pass it on to you tonight because it has worked everywhere we've tried it. The vision. Someone once asked Helen Keller, I went to her home in the South. This woman was amazing. Blind, deaf, unable to speak. She became a world-renowned figure. A woman of the ages. And someone once asked her, "Is there anything worse than being blind?" "Oh yes," she replied, "having sight and no vision." So in order to be an uncommon president, you need to have not only a conviction, but a vision of your potential. And finally, what is your commitment? All the knowledge in the world, and even the vision and the plans won't mean anything if you don't feel it in your heart. You can't just be in Rotary, but Rotary's got to be in you. You got to feel what it is we do. I've had many opportunities over the years to renew my commitment. But tonight I tell you one of my first. Some 30 plus years ago, I made my first of many, many trips to India. I didn't want to go to India. The governor of my district was a crusty guy, and we were going to have a group study exchange team go to India because a bunch of Indians had come to our district. And he called me over to his home. And he said, "Rick, I want you to lead the team to India." And I said, "Governor, I want to go to Hawaii." And he looked right at me, and this is what he said. Walter Schultz was governor of my district. This was a long time ago. "Rick, I've met the host governor in India, and he is a son of a bitch. And I need somebody who can match him to lead this team." I was so dumb and young then, I thought that was a supreme compliment. I really was. So off I went to India. Now I'll tell you, it was an amazing experience in those days because we were in the hinterlands of India. No beds to sleep on, no toilets, boards, no clean water. Food was difficult. Everybody got stomach problems. An amazing experience. But they drove me up in a car. I thought I was Henry Kissinger or somebody because on one fender was the American flag, on the other fender was the Rotary flag.